Diabetes Revolution podcast with Dr. Sarah Townley, the type 2 diabetes coach, clinical pharmacist, and mom of 6 angels. You don't have to struggle and fight with your blood sugars for the rest of your life. I'm here to teach you the skills you need to control and even reverse this disease. There is such a thing as getting off your meds and creating a future free from diabetes. And you can have it too. Let's get down to business. Hello, my dear friends. Thank you for joining me today on the Diabetes Revolution podcast. This is Dr. Sarah Townley, and I am so excited because obviously today's topic is a lot of fun. Today we're going to be talking about food. And I titled this saying that your food doesn't have to suck. But essentially what we're going to geek out about today is all about food, because I am a firm believer that your food should be delicious. Your food should be amazing. Your food should be fun, all of that, if you want it to be. And I think this really surprises people because I remember distinctly I had a client, one of my very first clients, who had a really deep-seated belief that his food, if he was going to reverse his diabetes, get off of his insulin, it was going to have to be terrible, right? He had this idea that healthy food tastes bland, boring, that it's going to be, nothing that he's going to enjoy, that he's going to have to give up all of his favorite foods. Does this sound familiar? Do you think that in order for you to reverse your diabetes, you're going to have to eat boring, tasteless, or even disgusting foods for the rest of your life? Do you feel like you're never going to be able to enjoy some of your favorite foods? Do you think you're not going to be able to enjoy holidays or traditional foods for your family? Or when you go out to eat, you're not going to be able to order something that really satisfies you or makes you happy? Do you think you might be the only one, right, that's not enjoying all of the delicious food that's being offered, right? Because you're, quote, not allowed to. You're not going to be able to drink anything that has, bad stuff in it. Like, for example, some of you are really attached to your wine or your alcohol or I don't know, milkshakes, like you name it. Okay. We all have some pretty strong attachments to certain kinds of food. And for many of us, we believe that if we get healthy, quote, get healthy, that we're going to have to give these things up. And when we believe that, how do we feel? We feel sad, right? That's like the most basic thing we feel. We feel deprived. We might feel self-pity, like, woe is me. I definitely jump to that one on default a lot. When we go, and eat the thing that we thought we couldn't have, what do? We feel guilt and shame. And thinking about this way makes us feel hopeless, that we're never going to be able to do it, right? It's going to be too hard. And then some of us even feel angry and resentful that we're the one that has this problem and nobody else has to deal with it. When we're thinking all that stuff and feeling that way, we cheat, right? We think we're cheating on our own plan. We quit. We beat ourselves up. We start and we stop and we start and we stop. Some of us binge eat. We eat like way more than we actually even wanted, right? We can stay stuck in inaction, wondering why we won't just do it, right? Why can't I just do what I need to do? We just stay stuck there. And some of us even lash out at other people, right? When we're feeling all that self-pity and anger and resentment. And we can even avoid going to things, events, gatherings, having social experiences because we don't want to feel like we're the only one or that we're having to be deprived or miss out. And this podcast is all about how none of that is true. Could it be? I want to ask you that. Could it be possible that you haven't ever even considered that your food could be delicious, satisfying, easy, even feel indulgent? There is a massive market out there for people like us. Remember that. Products are being marketed to us to solve every problem, fulfill every need. And there are creative geniuses out there who have found the perfect substitute or solution to what you want. And they're publishing it on the internet for free. Some people are devoting their entire lives to helping you find the lifestyle that supports all the things that you want, right? A healthy body and novelty and ease and fun and deliciousness. Shoot, you could even find probably entire recipe catalogs for people who just want to eat a certain way and want to do it in a vegan lifestyle or a dairy-free lifestyle or a gluten-free lifestyle. Like, you name it, it's out there. You just need to go look. And if you're going to look and you're feeling really overwhelmed, that's a different problem. Okay, that's not the problem we're talking about today. The problem we are talking about today is this belief, this idea that your food is not going to be yummy if you are going to get healthy, if you're going to heal your body. Taking proper care of your body is a celebration with your food. Okay, and for it to be a lifestyle, a permanent lifestyle change, which is the only thing that I advocate, not these diet mentalities where we just eat a certain way for a short time, right? We're doing things that are sustainable. And so for your lifestyle that heals your body to be sustainable, you're going to need to enjoy it. You're going to need to feel satisfied by it, emotionally satisfied by it, psychologically and physically satisfied by it. Okay, so let's get into some examples, because I'd really like to use examples to show you that the world is not over if you want to commit to a lifestyle that involves reversing type 2 diabetes or losing all that weight. So here's just some real basic examples that I use in my life all the time that have solved the problem for me of, I really want to include this kind of food, but it is not compatible with a lifestyle that allows me to stay thin and strong and healthy and full of energy. Okay. So one of my favorite things that I've recently been playing with has been riced cauliflower. Now, some of you are like, that sounds disgusting, sick. Okay. But open your mind. Notice how your brain wants to shut down a perfectly, potentially amazing solution to the problem of rice. Okay. Because many of you know rice can really jack your blood sugar up. Okay. We don't want that. So I actually just showed one of my clients this morning a really cool slide while I was coaching her on food, comparing different, quote, whole foods or healthy foods to the equivalent number of teaspoons of sugar in it, as far as how the potential that it has to raise your blood sugar. And shockingly, one serving of basmati rice had the equivalent of about 10 teaspoons of sugar in it, as far as how much it will raise your blood sugar. And so for many of us, rice just ain't going down. It's not going to be part of our day-to-day plan. And especially if you live in a culture where rice is a very integral part of the way that you cook, then this presents an issue, right? And so I want to open your mind to the possibility that you could try something else for you, and maybe not for your whole family, or maybe for your whole family, that could just solve this problem and be just as good. Because in my opinion, rice itself does not have a whole lot of taste to it, right? Rice really just, to me, seems like a vehicle to get the good, yummy flavors into your mouth. So if I could find something else that would do that, take care of that job, and not raise my blood sugar, then I'm pumped on that. And for me, I've been playing around with riced cauliflower. Now, I started ricing my own cauliflower, like buying fresh cauliflower, and that is cool. You can do that. It just has a lot more steps, and it takes time, and it involves more prep and cleaning, right? And so I wanted to try just buying pre-riced cauliflower frozen, and I bought it at Costco. And so what was really cool about this is that it came in 1 pound individually wrapped packages. And so I didn't have to like even measure it out. I could just pull 1 or 2 of those out and go straight to the business of cooking, because I like to cook with really fresh ingredients. And so this particular thing I was preparing, which was cauliflower fried rice, has tons of fresh ingredients and involved a lot of prep. So I was chopping and, I was grating my ginger and mincing my garlic and doing all those things. And so to skip the step of rice and cauliflower was pretty awesome. Anyhow, rice cauliflower for me has done the trick is when it comes to dishes that involve adding a lot of rice. I also have really been enjoying using low carb balanced tortillas. So I buy just those Mission low carb balanced tortillas, and those are a product that has, I think, 2 grams of net carbs per tortilla. And so for some of you, you're like, what is net carbs? And net carbs really is all the amount of absorbable carbs that your body will get from 1 serving size. See, in our country, under the carbohydrate line item on a nutrition facts label, we put fiber, and most fiber is insoluble. So we're not going to absorb that, and it's not going to have an impact on our blood sugar. And so net carbs is really understanding how many carbs per serving has the potential to impact your blood sugar. And these products have very low amount of net carbs in them. So I've been using these to make quesadillas with like chicken in them or steak in them. You can even use them to make tortilla chips. So this has been such a hack that I am so happy with, because I haven't been able to find anything that was easy, readily available, and tasted good to replace tortilla chips. And it's not that I eat tortilla chips all the time, but when you have a dip and you want to dip your chip in that delicious dip, you really want something that also tastes good to go in your mouth, right? And so, I'm not trying to use a celery stick, So what I've been doing is taking these low carb tortillas when I'm not using them for like breakfast burritos, right? And just slicing them with scissors or cutting them with scissors into triangles. And then all you got to do is brush them with a little olive oil and sprinkle a little salt on them and roast them in the oven for a very short period of time. And voila, you have low carb tortilla chips. You can thank me now, actually, if you want to. You can go on my website and send me a contact me form and say, thank you, Sarah. And you can find that at sarahtownley.com, of course. But let's move on. So I recall distinctly finding a product that made me super happy in the past, which was a grain-free granola. And I was using Autumn Harvest, a brand that I prefer that Costco was selling in bulk in like larger bags. And this grain-free granola still has some sugar in it, but it's a very small amount. And I was using it to put on top of my berry mix with Greek yogurt. Okay. And, just adding that crunch, you could do it with some slivered almonds. Okay. Or maybe some pieced up macadamias or pieces of walnuts or pecans, whatever. But I really like granola on my parfait. So I put this grain-free granola on top, and it just, it took it to the next level. And I am trying to really, really enjoy my food. And so I support that, right? And I'm going to support you in doing that. So those are just 3 examples of ways that you can enjoy your food, right? Dip them chips in that fresh guac that you made, or, make that cauliflower fried rice or jambalaya or whatever it is that you want to make. And still enjoy the heck out of it, right? Because all you're trying to do is preserve the flavor and the taste, but also do it in a way that allows your blood sugar to stay totally flat. I'm talking flat line. That is my goal for you, because what we want to do is keep that insulin level low, right? That's what the name of the game when we're trying to manipulate our food to allow us to reverse insulin resistance. Okay. So I just want to offer to you, if there is such a thing as low carb pecan pie, literally, is there anything that we can't figure out here? Okay. So another thing that I think would help a lot of you guys out is what to do about your libations. Isn't that a word, like for alcohol beverages? I love the website dietdoctor.com, you guys. I love it. And on that website, you can go and get a wealth of information. Even health professionals can get a wealth of information on this website. But for just the person who has diabetes, who wants some tips and tricks, wants a recipe, wants some education, dietdoctor.com has it all. I'm not kidding. Okay. And you can go on there and you can get visual guides to the amount of carbohydrates that will impact your blood sugar. And there are guides for beer, different types of beer, different types of wine, different types of spirits, really condiments, nuts. Like there's for anything that you might be curious about, like how could I still get what I want, but be wiser and more strategic about how I'm doing it? Dietdoctor.com is going to be a lifesaver. Okay, I've learned a ton from them. And remember, I've been doing this for a long time. I live this lifestyle. I've got all the hacks, okay, but I'm still adding to them. And this podcast episode is really just about sharing that with you because I really, really would like to wipe your mind clean of any belief, any conviction that you have to feel restricted or deprived because you are trying to heal your body. It's just not true. Okay, let's talk about eating out. For many of us, we eat out regularly, right? And when we go out and we sit down at a restaurant, or if we're just driving through, like we still want to be able to enjoy our food and go to all the places that our family or our partner wants to go to and not feel like we have some special restrictions that we have to follow. And I just want to invite you to consider the possibility that you can do this. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you a couple of my most common favorite types of solutions to eating out. So if I go to, say, Mexican, guess what I'm going to get? I'm going to get a delicious item on the menu that's always there, and it's called fajitas. And when that fajita dish comes, I get to enjoy everything, except I just don't use the tortillas, And I really watch how many chips that I enjoy as I'm waiting for my fajitas to come. And maybe, you know what, you just want to DoorDash so you can avoid the whole tortilla chip waiting at the table situation. Whatever, I'm just saying that one of the easiest, most delicious things that are available at most Mexican restaurants are fajitas, and you can have fun with them. You can do any kind of meat, protein that you want, and just enjoy. There's like 6 things for you to enjoy, right, when it comes to the table, and just revel in all the variety and flavors that you get to have without messing up your blood sugar. Okay, so let's think about going out to any other major restaurant. Of course, there's always salads, but some of us just aren't digging salads. Although I would like to tell you one of my absolute favorite salads to order is a wedge salad. But, if you're a person who likes Cobb or whatever, go for that. But I'm going to tell you that there is going to be something on the menu that you're going to be able to enjoy that is not going to mess up your blood sugar. And your job is to find what it is. If you would like to go in with some backup ideas, just remember, most places are going to have some kind of a steak and a fresh vegetable for you to enjoy. And so don't be discouraged. Just go in knowing that there's going to be something there for you. And also, if you have any problem asking the waiter, asking questions about what's in something or asking questions about how you can modify something, and you don't want to do that because you feel like you are a burden, that is a different problem. And that definitely needs to be addressed because you're their customer. You're there to give them business and they want to make you happy. And if you don't get that vibe, that's not a good place for you to give your money to, right? Okay. So let's talk about like subs, right? Maybe your family just wants to go out and get a sub, and subs are hard to modify for us. Most places don't have low carb bread on the menu. Now, many places out there, especially like these fast food sub places, they'll make a salad with your sub. Okay. But my favorite go-to is always going to be a Jimmy John's Unwich. Okay. I can go through a Jimmy John's Unwich pretty much any place in this country and get all the yummy stuff inside. And this is for people who don't even want to eat meat, right? Like you could just have the cheese and the vegetables all wrapped up with the condiments in your lettuce wrap and just chow down. Have a good time. And then the last thing that I'll mention just for eating out, just to open your mind to possibility, is that you can enjoy pizza as well. So there are places out there who are marketing to people like us. Remember that. And your job is to figure out which ones that those are. So I know Blaze Pizza for sure has the option of a keto pizza crust or a cauliflower pizza crust. Watch out for cauliflower because it can still have some carbs in it. If you're trying to stick with a keto diet, that might not be compatible. So just be aware. I know a place near me called Your Pie also offers similar options. Okay. And then remember, even if you went somewhere that didn't have anything like that, you can still make wiser choices. Okay. So for me, I might order the salad and just eat the topping off the pizza. That's an easy solution that doesn't require any investigation or asking questions, right? That's easy. And then I know for even take and bake around here, they even have a quote keto friendly option where you just get the yummy pizza toppings in a special dish that you heat up in the oven, just like you would cook the pizza. Okay. So I'm just saying, you guys, there's options. Okay. So what if all you really need to solve this problem is a curious mind who believes in possibility and is willing to try new things, right? Contrast that to a mind that is thinking this thought that all healthy food sucks. That is a very closed mind. That is a mind that is not going to serve you. It isn't believing that there's possibility. It isn't willing to do any kind of checking, entertaining options or checking things out or experimentation with different products. It's a mind that is going to keep you in this prison of all of those actions we were talking about, right? Starting and stopping, staying stuck, and inaction, avoiding, gathering with people or going out, cheating, quote, cheating on yourself, quitting, binging, all of that. All you really need to do is shift your thinking into possibility and willingness. Those are the two things that you really need in order for you to discover a lifestyle that is sustainable, that allows you to enjoy your food and never feel deprived and still heal your body. All right. And then the last thing I want to remind you is that everyone who works with me always learns about something called exceptions. Okay. So exceptions is really what it sounds like. But I like to explain to you that it is a tool. Okay. So exceptions just means you're allowing foods into your diet while you're reversing your diabetes. Okay. While you are getting off your medications, while you are normalizing your blood sugars. You get to have planned exceptions where you simply plan having foods that are not on your normal plan, things you don't normally allow in your diet. And exceptions can be as often as you want them to be, understanding that it will affect how fast you progress, right? So if you had an exception every other day, that's going to impact your progress more so than if you had one once a week, right? Or if you had one once every couple weeks. Or maybe you just want to have exceptions when you're gathering with your family, when you have a special event coming up, when it's your birthday, whatever, okay? Exceptions are up to you, but I want to invite you to understand that exceptions is an amazing skill because it allows you to include these foods in a way that puts you in control. So many of us are used to feeling out of control with the kind of foods that we use for our exceptions. Okay, we have lots of desire and urges, and when we actually reward those, we can feel like we can't stop and that the food has power over us. And I never want my clients to feel like food has any power over them. And exceptions is a way where you get to practice being the one that's in control of the food. And so this is a skill that I would also like to teach in this podcast, but I am going to just tell you that it does exist right now. And I want you to realize that there is no such thing as I can't have. The truth is that you're a grown adult. You can have whatever you want, okay? And so telling yourself you can't have something is a lie. It creates restriction and deprivation, and oftentimes leads to rebellion. And so allowing yourself to have exceptions as a tool shuts all that down. The bottom line is you can have whatever you want as long as you plan it ahead of time, right? And so I love knowing that everything is an option. Everything's on the table. I get to have and choose whatever I want, and understanding what I'm choosing consciously with intention is the skill that I want to develop for the rest of my life. All right. I want to also share with you that I do have a collection of recipes that I share with my clients, and I want to just kind of give you a sample of it. Why not, right? So a lot of people, when I'm on Facebook groups, they ask questions like, oh, I'm so sick of whatever. What can I have for a snack? What can I have for breakfast? And so I'm just going to share with you real quick some of the snacks, a couple of the maybe dinner options in this collection of recipes that I use and I share with my clients. So snacks is easy. I'm a person that really appreciates having grab and go options. I like to have things that I can just readily access and put straight into my mouth. And maybe you're like me. And so when I'm thinking snacks, that's what I'm thinking. So here's some things that I definitely would steer my clients toward that won't mess up your blood sugar, that are easy and quick. For example, I mentioned mixed berries, right? You can do mixed berries even as a dessert. And I like to add a little bit of Splenda on mine just to make it a little sweeter, because a lot of times those can be kind of bitter, right? So I like to add a little sweetener, and you're free to skip that part or add a sweetener that you prefer, like monk fruit, whatever is your jam, okay? And you can put heavy whipping cream on that and make it into an indulgent dessert, or like whipped cream on it or Cool Whip on it. Those are all low carb. And then I like to add yogurt, like Greek yogurt onto that, and put like slivered almonds, like I mentioned, or that grain-free granola on top. That's really quick and easy and readily available. And sometimes I just eat the berries straight up, right? Another really great option is celery and peanut butter. Okay, how easy is that? You could even dip it in almond butter if you wanted to. And then there's some that are just a little more hearty, like maybe you're really hungry at that time and you want a snack. So you could do like some salami and some hard cheese or some string cheese. You could do some smoked salmon, right? There's also like jerky. That's easy. Hard-boiled eggs, super easy. You could just keep a bag of hard-boiled eggs, and I have chickens, so there's always eggs, and they're, all those fun things, pasture raised, whatever. And so I don't feel one bit bad about reaching for a hard-boiled egg. And for those of you who are concerned about the fat content in that, you need to go back and listen to some of my previous episodes, because fat is probably one of the biggest friends we have when we are going about the business of healing our body from insulin resistance, okay? Fat does not raise your blood sugar. And so it's going to be, and it tastes amazing, right? So it's going to be one of your best friends. All right. So maybe you like things like olives, right? You could do even like a charcuterie type situation, some raw veggies, dip it in homemade ranch, which I love homemade ranch. I use like half sour cream, half mayonnaise with some Hidden Valley ranch powder, just whip it up in a batch. You could do hummus instead if you prefer that. And you can dip all these delicious things like cherry tomatoes. And I love cucumbers. And I love peppers, bell peppers, and carrot sticks and all that stuff. I especially love broccoli. And so I'll keep broccoli florets and things cut up already and just keep them in the fridge so I can grab it and dip it and eat it. And it fills up my belly. And you know what else it comes in handy? When I'm trying to prep and I'm hungry. When I'm prepping for a meal and I'm hungry. Instead of snatching and eating things that are not going to work out well for me, I reached for some of these things. I might eat like a handful of pistachios and some raw veggies, and that just really helps me avoid reaching for things that I'm going to regret. All right, so that's a sample of some of the snacks that you could start using that would not interfere with your ability to reach your goal and could become really great tools for you. And then I just want to give you a couple ideas of some things that I cook for dinner that are delicious, okay, and fun, and, switch it up, right? Give you some different flavors in your day or in your week. and still do not mess up your blood sugar, right? So one example would be, one of my favorites is egg roll in a bowl. Okay, egg roll in a bowl. It's like a skillet meal, and you can use ground turkey or ground sausage, and you're using all of those delicious ingredients, fresh ingredients that make it taste so good. Okay, I'm talking about like, ginger and garlic and all of those raw vegetables that you chop up. And then once you get that, shredded cabbage in there, and you put all of those flavors on there, like sesame oil and soy sauce and all the things that make it yummy, you can top it with fun things. You can even make this fancy, right? You could add a couple chow mein noodles if you want, or you could put fresh cilantro. That's one of my favorite things to put on top. And so I just wanted to show you, like, it's delicious. Okay. I'm talking any leftovers, they're going to be gone. Nobody's going to waste this. And your whole family will probably enjoy it. Another one of my go-tos in my family is something called zuppa, and it's modeled after Olive Garden's soup, zuppa toscana. But it's a one-pot dish, which is my jam, right, with a big family. And you start off with just some ground sausage and bacon, and you add, some garlic and onions and all of that. And then you get the chicken broth in there. And then instead of putting in potatoes, right, you could just put in cauliflower florets. And my family would revolt if I did that. And so I just I take a portion out for myself of the stock with all of the meat and a few vegetables in there. And I just put cauliflower in mine and potatoes in theirs. And then I boil it up, right? Add the kale, put that sausage back in, or whatever, how you do it. And then put some heavy cream in there, and everybody gets to have what they want. Okay. And so those are just a couple of like really easy go-to meals that I use in my life that I feed my family with, that are easily modifiable in order for you to reach your goals. All right. And so if you are someone who wants to ask me for a copy of that collection of recipes, like, I invite you to do that. Okay. Go to my website, sarahtownley.com, and go to the contact me form and just hit me up, send me a message and ask me for that. And I would be happy to share that with you. All right. I am so excited for you to go out there and start challenging your brain with this lie that your food has to suck. And start proving it wrong and seeing very quickly that you can have delicious, creative, inspired dishes that satisfy you and heal your body. Okay, have an awesome week, guys. See you next week.
High five for tuning in with me today. You are getting smarter and stronger when you show up for yourself this way. You can get more free tools to help you control type 2 diabetes on my website, sarahtownley.com. And if you're serious about ending your struggle with diabetes, join my membership, The Diabetes Revolution, where you work with me in a community of people just like you. See you on the next episode.